Hi everyone, welcome to 5281, Introduction to Developing Educational Websites. My name is Rick Voigthofer. I'm one of the faculty members in the Learning Technologies program here in the Department of Educational Studies. I made this video to welcome you to the course and to introduce you to the course and to get you started on the first week. As I think most of you know, this is a blended course, meaning we'll be meeting both online and in person. And these first 5, 6 days will be online. The first thing you should probably do is go to carmen.osu.edu. And you'll see a screen that looks like this. If you've taken courses before with Carmen, this may look a little bit different. You'll see here it says Canvas Pilot. Please ignore that. If you just click on Login, you'll see you'll be do your typical OSU name.n login, your authentication, and it will load up my courses, and you should see one called ES-ETech 5281 Intro to Developing Educational Websites. Now, yours will look different than mine since I'm the instructor, so if you open it and say, hey, that looks a little bit different, that's okay. When you open it up, it'll drop you into the home page of the course, if you will, and you'll see here week 1, resources and books. These are called modules, and each week I'll be giving you access to the modules for that week. Before I go a little bit farther into introducing you to what our course website looks like, I'm going to go over the syllabus. And so you can download the syllabus by clicking here on the left. You'll see a link that says syllabus, and at the very top you'll see something that says download full syllabus. And you'll also below that see what I'm calling a preliminary course schedule. After reading through all of your responses to the my questionnaire, I see that we have different skill levels and we have some different aims for the course. So we'll be probably making some changes here and there to better tailor the course for your interests. And so as we progress, we'll be in regular communication. So what I'm going to do now is if you click on download full syllabus, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the syllabus here, and I'm going to go through it with you, starting with my email address. It's voigthofer.2@osu.edu. It's a blended course. This is my cell number that I'm giving you, and if you would like to meet me in person for help, you're welcome to do that. Just shoot me an email. Right now we have our lab sessions scheduled for May 17th, June 7th, and June 14th, and that's going to be in McWig Lab 155 from 9 until 12:10. Those weeks that you'll notice, I'm going to go down the schedule where it says location online. That doesn't mean you have to be available during that time unless we predetermine it for some reason. You want to do a webinar on a specific topic. You want to do an online office hours or something like that. So I'm going to go through the syllabus and I'm going to read it from top to bottom and kind of expand on some things and hopefully address some of the questions you have about the course. So it starts by saying well-designed websites can enhance the pedagogical choices that educators can offer their students. Developing educational website skills requires competency in applying sound pedagogical, visual, and technical principles. Applying these principles, educational web designers must possess an understanding of the learning possibilities and pitfalls of websites, visual design capacity to develop accessible, aesthetically pleasing websites, and the technical know-how to apply the previous two. So keep in mind this is an introductory class, and so web development. I'm sure you've been on very interactive websites that do all kinds of things that you may wonder how they did that. Well, there's lots of underlying technologies, different kinds of HTML, which you'll be learning about, hypertext markup language. There are different technologies that exist on the server side, and you'll learn about sort of a server client model of the World Wide Web in some of the activities that you'll be doing for this week. And it's would require a number of classes and for you to work creating many websites to be able to do all these things. My hope is that by the end of the course you'll have some sense of what it takes to know what the technologies do. And I don't expect you to learn HTML. We're going to be, as our primary platform, be using a content management system called WordPress through OSU offers through their u.osu website. And one of the things that WordPress does is it creates the HTML for you, but it's always good to know something about that underlying code. There are times when you may, for example, copy and paste out of, let's say, a Word document into it might be WordPress, it might be a learning management system, and things don't just look right. You highlight the text and you try to do something, and instead of getting bigger, it gets smaller. And there will be, I guarantee there will be a time where you'll benefit from knowing some HTML code, so you can go at least get some sense of what's happening within the code that's producing the web page. And so you'll, after this week, by next Tuesday, you'll have some sense of what that means to create, the code that's underlying a web page. And so, we will be talking about things like pedagogical design, meaning, in some sense, every web page teaches something in terms of how it presents information, how your users go through it, the options you give them to go through it. You give them the ability to go anywhere, or you give them a very structured experience where you look at this page and then that page and then that page. And so all of those things are design choices, and they're also teaching choices. So I'll be taking sort of a broad perspective on teaching, if you will. And so we will be also working with some graphics, just in terms of getting images ready to use on the web. You may have had the experience where you access a website and the image, it takes forever to download, and you'll learn why that is and how to prevent that from happening to your users, particularly when we start talking about things like websites that are accessed on mobile phones. And so some advanced web design skills are creating what are called responsive sites, meaning if you go to a website on your iPad versus your laptop versus your desktop, they will adjust the screen accordingly for that particular device. WordPress has some themes, and we'll be talking about themes that are responsive to different devices like that. But if any of you have done even the smallest amount of web development, you will have experienced frustration creating a website that looks perfectly fine on one web browser on a computer. You look on a different web browser and it looks different, and so that can be very frustrating. And so if we look at some of the course goals, manipulating images using digital editing software, and I'll show you a free one called Picasa that you can use. Use a web authoring tool to create a website. In our case, it'll be WordPress. There are a number of them out there. Understanding basic HTML tags. Designing and developing an attractive and functional educational website. So, how can we make something that first and foremost is usable for your end user? So, something where they know what content is on the page, it's easy to read, they know how to get to where they want to go. So, before we even get into aesthetics, you have to make a website usable, and sometimes use is secondary to attractive websites. And you may have been on websites that look great, but when you go to use them, they are hard to get information on. And then you're going to be publishing your work to the public, meaning you're going to be working over the course of the next 5-6 weeks on developing one website. And what that website is will be up to you. And it could be a part of a class. It could be a portfolio that you're creating to put together your work. It could be something professionally where you work for a particular program and you want to create a public presence for that. And so as I go through the syllabus, I'll show you the steps that you're going to go through to get to that point. And so the next page talks about text and materials. I don't ask you to purchase any books or anything for this class. I give you multiple ways at a particular piece of knowledge, and so I'm going to be showing you. I provide access to books and to videos and to interactive lessons where you try something and then you see the results of that, and that I'm relying on you sort of knowing how you learn best. Some people like to look through step by step on a book, some people like to watch a video, and some people like to use something that's more interactive, and so all of these things will be linked through Carmen, and I give you some examples of things. So one, something that we have access to on campus is lynda.com. Lynda.com offers video courses on various topics, and so I've listed a couple here. Web design fundamentals, and that gives you the length, about less than 3 hours, and HTML essential training, which is about 5.5 hours, and you create a simple website. So how do you get to lynda.com? Well, we have a few ways. One, you can, if you wanted to purchase a 30-day membership, I think you can do that for about $25-30 through the Digital Union, which are places on campus that support production work, media production work. You can get licenses, and I'll be showing you the link to the Digital Union and their email address shortly. Lynda does offer 7-day accounts just to sort of try things out, is another option. And finally, if you go to any Digital Union on campus, they have access to all the Lynda courses, and they are myriad. And so if you wanted to go to one of the Digital Unions, even to get some help on something, I'll be showing you their locations a little bit later in this video. The second thing we're going to be going through this week, WP Apprentice, it's WordPress Apprentice, and some introductory videos. And then here are some links on web design theory that you can go and click on. And these are just sort of a sampling. In terms of things that are required, in terms of a personal computer with high-speed internet, I think all of you have access to something. And so, based on your questionnaire responses, digital camera, not mandatory, but if you want to, and that could be your cell phone, could be your tablet, but something to take digital images for your website would be good, or you can use existing images. Cloud storage of some sort. Essentially what we're going to be using that for is backing up things. You should always have, one or two backups of things. Don't rely on something just being on your hard drive, and for obvious reasons. And through OSU, we have Buckeye Box, which has lots of storage and is a good place to, for example, put your images on. So it's a good resources. But if you are in Microsoft SkyDrive or Dropbox, iCloud on the Mac side, those are all examples of cloud storage. And actually, some of the videos that you'll be looking today describe cloud storage in a little more detail. Picasa is the editing software, the image editing software that I told you about, and here's a link to that. So let's talk about the course assignments. First is a photo project. Actually, that's not the. I don't think that's the first thing you'll do. We'll go over the calendar, but it's the first on this list. Basically, you'll be taking a number of shots and manipulating them in different ways. We'll be doing this through one of our online weeks, and so I'll be giving you specific instructions about what to do. But you might want to start picking some images, particularly if you know what site you want to create for the class. That would be even better. The sooner you start thinking about and having some ideas about that site, the better. A website storyboard. It can be tempting just to start creating web pages and linking them together, but having a storyboard, having a plan for how they're going to look and interact is a very valuable thing, particularly if it's one of your first websites. So you'll be creating a storyboard, and I'll be one of the things, for example, is you'll identify an audience. You'll identify a purpose for your website. What is it that you want to accomplish? And so, if somebody visits the website, you have some set of outcomes, basically, that you want your users to achieve. It could be knowledge. It could be interaction of some sort. It could be, are you wanting them to fill out a form? Or are you wanting them to sign up for something, or go to something? And so all of that should be addressed through the storyboard. There's a final portfolio project. Basically, that's the website that you'll be creating, and so it doesn't have to be necessarily a portfolio, but that's your final website, and that will be a good part of your grade. A learning journal. By midnight on Monday each week, you'll add a very short couple of paragraphs to your learning journal, and basically that just kind of report on what you've been doing and what questions you have and what you've been learning. And that gives me a sense of checking in, because a lot of this is online. This gives I can look at each of your journals and get a snapshot of what you've done, where you're going, what problems you're having. And when I go back into Carmen, I'll show you exactly how to get to your learning journal. Class and online participation. Clearly, it's important that you engage with your fellow students in the activities that that I will be setting out, and giving each other feedback on your websites and things like that. And so if we look at the calendar, I've talked about there's sort of three main things you'll be doing between now and the 17th. Doing some introductory videos on web and internet terms and technologies. Just so again, I'm not assuming any knowledge. And then you'll be doing something on basic HTML, and then an introduction to WordPress. In our first session together, we'll get you started logging into your u.osu site. We'll start talking about designing for the web. I call it Designing for the Web Part 1, planning your website. And those two topics I think will take us our complete time. And what will be due, and you'll see here the following Monday at midnight, is a complete website storyboard and your learning journal entry. And so that there'll be a Dropbox for you to upload it to. You can draw it out and scan it, but you will need to get it to me in some form or another. If you wanted to draw it and drop it off, you could do that. Probably better if you did it in digital form, but I'm pretty flexible that way as long as everything is legible. And so that's week 2. Week 3, so week 2 is in person. Week 3 is online, where we'll do 2 main things: web graphics. So we'll get you introduced to Picasa, talk about some design thing, the rule of thirds, acquiring images, cropping, adding text filters, etc. And then we'll talk about designing educational. We'll focus on page design and to get each page looking attractive and I'll use that term a lot, usable. And so during that week 3, you'll start writing your content for your pages, and you'll add that to your storyboard, and along with some uh, pictures of how you want your web pages to look. And so there may be a consistent look that they all have, or there may be some differences. And during that 3rd week, you'll start to collect and edit your images, getting them together, resizing them, making sure that they look the way that you want. Week 4, it's also an online session, and so that's enhancing your website. So I'm going to introduce you to some WordPress plugins. WordPress is it's probably, it has a very robust community of developers, and some of those pieces of software are made available through u.osu. If for some reason that u.osu doesn't meet your needs, we can discuss. You can contact me individually, and if you had something else in mind, WordPress.com also offers free WordPress accounts. So if you want to do something that wasn't associated with OSU, we can talk about that. Their version of WordPress will look slightly different, but not dramatically so. And so during that week, you'll start to put your content into your web pages. And then the following week, week 5, we'll meet in person again. It'll be sort of you'll present your works in progress. You don't have to be totally done. There'll be troubleshooting. So if you want help with something, for example, you're trying to get an online form to work, we'll do that during that session. And that will be week 5. And then I've kind of divided week 6. I call it week 6 part 1, part 2. So on that Tuesday, depending on our time, I'll show you some more WordPress plugins. Depending on what questions come up during the course, I will make a presentation accordingly, and you'll present your websites to your peers and start to get feedback. You'll start to get feedback, so people can so you can get some sense of how other people, it's the same thing that happens with writing. You think your writing is crystal clear, but when somebody else reads it, it doesn't make sense. And so having fresh eyes on your website that you've been working hard on will give you some feedback. You'll take that feedback, and then by the end of the week, make some revisions, and then turn that in. And that's the course, kind of how I've laid it out. And so now I'm going to go back and talk about the Carmen site. And so one of the things that I mentioned were your learning journals. So you'll find those under discussions. And so if you click on discussions, you'll see a link called learning journals. And you'll click on that. And if I've set things up correctly, you won't see all of these names. Pardon that text. We have a a mouse sighting at my house, and my wife is not happy about it. And so you should just see your name here. And what you'll do if you for your each entry, each of your 5 entries, is you'll click on your name, and then you can just hit reply, and you can put in week 2, um, week X journal entry, and you can paste it in there. My suggestion to you um, is that you type these up in a word processor and copy and paste them. I mean, it's pretty reliable, but it can't, if for some reason you lose your internet connection and you hit post reply, it may not get saved and you might get frustrated. So backup, backup is sort of the name of the game there. So I'm going to hit cancel. But that's how you get to your learning journal. You'll also notice there's one. Let's see, I've got to go back, and this is more likely what you're going to see, and go back and be myself again. And you'll also see one called practice quizzes. I'll get to that shortly. Um, Here's where you'll get feedback for your grades to your various projects. So you can see them there. Again, your syllabus you'll see. That's how you can go and review that if you want to download it. You'll see something that says quizzes here, and there are no quizzes that count for grades, but if I click on home here, you'll see under week 1, and this video should be probably under welcome by then. But if you click on this, and this is kind of lays out what I want you to do this first week. Please complete the following activities by 5:16 at midnight. So complete web fundamentals. Stop before what to do next. So if you click on this, Bento, he sort of curates different videos. And so here are just some short 8, 12, 5-minute, 6-minute videos. And then this is a kind of a cool web book that you can read that explains different web technologies. Again, my style of things is to present things in different ways, depending and different ways click with different people, and so don't think you have to look at everything exactly. So probably your best approach is to kind of browse things first, and then sort of plan what you're most interested in, and then what is programming, and this gives you some sense of what's involved. Again, this isn't a programming class; you're not expected to, but you'll be doing a little bit of it here in this next activity that I'm going to describe. And so this says stop before what to do next, because if you go here, what to do next, or what to learn next, you'll see a number. Code Academy, which actually you'll be doing some of this stuff. Code, guide. Again, here are a number of different ways that you can learn, or a number of different web development lessons and strategies. And so, a little bit of looking around probably wouldn't hurt you. So this is actually, so that's more accurately what to learn next. And so after you do that, I've put a couple of quizzes for you. Just like these are self-tests, and basically you should get, I'll just go the first one here. Series of letters and numbers that identify a location on the internet. Typing in an address lets you receive information from specific sources, etc. I think they're around 26 seconds each. Once you're done, you can see which ones you got right and wrong, and you can bring which you didn't get things. If you got something wrong and weren't sure what the right answers were, if you go on discussions, you can uh, post your questions here. I didn't get this, and then we can either talk about it or I'll answer it through the discussion board. So again, just sort of a lot of this stuff will be review for you, but I want to make sure that we're all starting off at a similar place. So if we go back here, and then the next thing we do is complete the introduction to HTML at Codecademy. And I'll try to give you notes here, so read the whole thing, complete units 1 to 3, because you don't need to go forward to CSS. That will be, depending on how far we get with HTML, CSS is another technology that is certainly very powerful. But it may be beyond the scope of some of you. Some of you may say, go on, do some stuff on CSS. Some of you, it may not be. Again, my teaching philosophy is to meet you where you are, and so you should not be worried about how you compare to other students, what they know or what they don't know, or what they can do. It's more about finding your starting place and ending up a place where you can do some of the things that you want to do. And then after that, after this introduction to HTML, go to WP Apprentice, and they have a WordPress Quick Start course. Watch all the videos except finding a web host and installing WordPress, which you don't have to do. And so here's the Quick Start course, and you'll sign up and watch these free videos. And so that'll start to get you familiarized and get you ready for our meeting next Tuesday. And then here's just getting started with U.OSU. Nothing you need to know about this except where it is. You can start to look through here. You can start seeing, navigating, and starting to know where to look for help, because ultimately courses end and you need to be able to know where to find help for things. And so that's sort of the first week until we meet on the 17th. Is there anything else here that I wanted to show you? I don't think so. I think that should give us all sort of a good starting point. And next week on Tuesday we'll meet in the lab, and we'll start to get your website set up, and I'll go through WordPress with you and start talking about design and get you set up to start thinking about your storyboard. So that's it. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see you online soon.